Well, darling, there's only one God. Darling, there's only.
Welcome to the Dirty Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Cookie, and thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you are set on the audio, we do have the YouTube. Like, subscribe, show the girl some love. So today, we got some Black girl excellence in here. We got some Black girl magic. We got some Black girl boss. We got the CEO of the brand Professional Hoodrat, the clothing line. We got Kim with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about motherhood, tech, and just running a brand. How you doing?
Hey, girl. Thanks
Yeah.
for inviting me.
I'm so glad to get you here. I'm so excited about this. I don't know a whole lot of Black women in tech. So this is huge for me.
Me either.
Like,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of us, so we're probably half of them. I'm just saying. But
no,
there
for
really is
real.
not a lot of us. It's sad.
Yes.
It's sad, but yeah, it's good to meet another Black woman in tech. Finally, I think honestly, in my career, I've been in tech maybe 8 years. I've probably worked with, I've been in tech for 8 years. I worked with maybe just 2 or 3 other Black women along the way. I spent 5 of those years at a very big payment company that's
Girl,
global. And then the
in 8
last
years,
3.5
though.
years, I worked at a startup.
Can you please, first of all,
It,
tell people about startups and how they need to get into that? Because we don't talk enough about startup and the possibilities and how there's a need.
yeah, so startup companies are really, it's like what it sounds. It's a startup. It's a very young company that usually is funded. The CEOs are out, boots on the ground, fundraisings. The startup company that I worked was in the wealth management fintech field. So
Oh,
they did financial advising for clients. So they competed with companies like Wealthfront or Betterment, and really just told people what to do with their money and how to plan for retirement. So I was the only Black woman in tech in that company, even though it was a smaller company. You know, the company I think when I left was when I joined it only had 64 employees. But when I left, it grew to about 300 employees. So they are at a point now, they've done their Series A, Series B, Series C funding. So the different series are just the stages of funding, right? And so the higher up the alphabet you get, the closer you are to either, of potentially going public. So they are close to that space now, but they had, pretty much tripled in size, but very little Black presence in the company. And in tech, I was the only Black woman. We had one Black guy for a brief period of time, and
they don't
he
last.
left. So it was just me.
Black men in startups. Can we talk?
It was just me again. And then there was one. So
Because that's my experience in the space that I'm in. Conversations about tech just never really happened growing up or even out of college. So, but you are in a very unique situation because you're a Black woman in tech, but then you have this brand. And the name of it, when you think about a Black woman in corporate, talk about the brand.
yes.
Where the name came from, first of all.
So the brand is the Professional Hoodrat. I mean, the name just came from, it just describes me. And I think it describes many people. I mean, we're thriving in corporate America, yet we still love trap music. I mean, back in my days at the payment company, I'm listening to Meek Mill on the way to work, Yo Gotti, just to get
Listen,
in the mindset to deal with these people. And then just outside of work in on my downtime, sometimes I just want to do hood rat shit with my friends, and that is okay. But you can't put us in a box. Like that's really what this brand is an ode to. It's an ode to everyone that you can't put into a box. It's streetwear with a message. We might cuss you out with one breath, but then we might have a conversation about building generational wealth and how to advance your career in tech in another breath. That's just, we're not a monolith. So that's what the Professional Hood Rat is.
And it's interesting you say that now, because I don't know about you, but coming into corporate earlier in my career, I was like trained out the gate to assimilate and be a certain way. And to even be associated with something with that name, it's like, I remember being told, like, it ain't that many of us. So you got to act right. Like, you got to
Yeah.
prove and act right so they'll let more of us in. Was that your experience at all? Or like, what was your entryway into corporate?
So I'll give you my entryway. So I graduated college during the recession in '08. So my mom was like, look, I'm paying your car insurance for another 6 months. And baby girl, you gotta do your thing. Make something shake. So I took a job at this payment company, actually just working in their call center because it paid the bills. They had benefits. I could make ends meet. Like I didn't have any real bills. Fortunately, I didn't have a lot of student loans because I had gotten a very good scholarship. So didn't have a lot of debt. So I was like, okay, I'll just go here until I find what I want to do. And I took that call center job. I ended up doing well at it and became like a team lead, a supervisor. My degree is in business administration.
Come on now.
So the management aspect of it, I really loved and enjoyed pouring into people because we were based in Baltimore. So, there's a lot of, I was the only, coincidentally, in my specific department, I was the only Black woman that was a supervisor at that time in my age in my 20s. And most of the people on the phones looked like me. So, for me, it was just important to just be a leader, be a good representation, protect the other Black women there, make sure I was advocating for them at my level, even though I wasn't, an executive leader, I still was creating space for them. But at the same time, I didn't feel challenged in my career. So
Okay.
fortunately, I found another Black woman that looked like me, one of the few that I worked with ever in technology. And she said, you remind me of myself. You need to research product management. So she gave me some tips on how to navigate and get my foot into the product management team. So I became like a subject matter expert for them. And then when they needed a new product manager on their team, they said, "Hey, Kim,
No
now is
brainer.
your time." And they created a role for me, and the rest is history. That's how I got in. But that is nobody has stories like that. Like it is
No.
hard to get in tech as a Black woman with no experience. And
Yes.
what's wild is like people want all this experience, but nobody wants to let you get experience. So had I not just had the background, I ended up transitioning to a team and building software applications, managing some vendor integrations, and things like that for the department that I supported. So I was building things for our actual call center teams. So no, fortunately, no one had the knowledge that I had, and then I just
Mm.
learned the tech side as I got onto the job.
But you know what's funny about
And the
that?
rest is
So
history, girl. That's how I got in.
let's go back to the experience part because they do require a lot of experience, but not from every group of people. Because what I learned from being in predominantly white spaces is that we need to come in with a lot of experience, but they necessarily don't. Like white men love golf. And if y'all don't know this, half the
Girl,
time that's where deals take
girl,
place. That's where promotions happen. I was watching this thread
girl.
on LinkedIn a few months back, and it was CIOs. And the question was, how did you get your role? I kid you not, the majority of the responses were somebody was at a bar and a wife pitched her husband, or like all of these C-level positions happened because somebody knew somebody. Which is why I feel like, and I think you might agree, that it
Hmm.
is important to have a Black woman in leadership roles to kick the door down, like to
Oh,
advocate.
yes. And it needs to be a Black woman that is going to be an advocate, right? And doesn't, like you mentioned, kind of, you got to be a certain way. We need Black women that are really conscious about protecting other Black women and making them feel comfortable. Like you can open the door for another Black woman, but don't expect that Black woman to have to change who they are. Let them encourage them to show up as themselves in the
Yeah.
new role and bring that value because we're valuable as is.
We
Like,
really
we
are.
don't need to try to imitate someone else, or, we should just be able to be ourselves, right? And that should be enough. It
No,
is
it
enough.
really should. It dead ass. Because outside of it, everybody looks to us for cultural relevance anyways. Everybody mimics us after hours anyways. So there's that. But
Mm-hmm.
what made you decide, like when
Mm-hmm.
you decided I'm gonna do this brand, were you worried about it spilling into your corporate career or your colleagues finding out about the brand? Like what was that like?
Honestly, I think because of the pandemic and just maybe age. Probably if I would have done this 5 or 10 years ago, I would have been worried about it. No, I don't give a I don't care. I work at organizations that I have to disclose my outside business activities because of the nature of the industries I work in. So,
Okay.
professionalhoodrat.com, I am the owner of this business and this brand. Like, it is what it is. I don't make it a topic of conversation at work all the time, but it's not hidden. When I created the brand, actually, it was something for me to actually celebrate the election of Vice President Kamala Harris. Like, that's actually what was the catalyst to make me get started. And believe it or
Really?
not, this is crazy, but which they got elected, I was like, I have always been into t-shirts and statement t-shirts forever. So outside of work, you would probably see me in a t-shirt 90% of the time. So I was like, I should do my own brand. I should do a brand to celebrate her. Like, it just was a light bulb over my head the day that she got elected. And I kid you not, I had been researching things, but just not knowing what to exactly pursue. I built that website in maybe 3 nights. Like, I just worked around the clock that weekend
Oh my God.
because I just had a fire in me, like, you have got to do this. So my first collection really was to celebrate the election and the change of tide getting 45 up out of there. And, I had statements on our shirts like, grab them by the ballot. Your VP is Black. Our VP is an HBCU grad. I just wanted to celebrate her. And then I said, you know what? Like, there are many more things that I could put on a shirt that's a positive saying that would resonate with people like me. So it evolved from there.
Well, first of all, where the hell is she at? Kamala, sis, where you at?
Girl,
That girl be her and her pork
girl,
chopped and dipped.
girl.
I said, sis,
She not far from me. I'll do a little drive by if we need to. I'll do a little drive
we're gonna
by.
have like,
DC
sis, can
only
we sit down and
about 40
talk?
minutes.
Yeah, that is. You are out
Because
that way. So you were out there when I
no.
almost said the resurrection. When these clowns decided to climb walls. Do you think Trump gonna try to come
Girl,
back?
yes. I think he is going to try to come back, but I think there is going to be a lot of infighting within that party. So I don't think he will get very far. Knock on wood.
I think we're
I
gonna
don't.
fight.
Where's the wood?
I
Knock
think
on
we
it
finna be fighting
because
too.
yeah, I think that I really feel like it's going to be a lot of infighting, and I do think that the Republican Party, they are embarrassed as hell. I feel like, from the insurrection, because that was just. I feel like that's a stain on our nation, another stain on our nation's history.
Huge.
I don't think we've had anything like that
We,
happen. Like,
we ain't seen no shit like
it's just
this.
crazy.
But
And
it's well, some of them
yeah,
still
you have
not owning
never.
up to it. I think that both parties as a whole just been it's been a mess. So I don't know how this next election season go. I feel like it's about to be a hot mess. I don't know why I felt safer when we was on
I do too. I
lockdown.
think, girl, I feel like
But
I've been in the house, then had a baby, all of that.
yes, okay. So I wanted
Like,
to ask you about that. So motherhood, while you have this job and while you building this brand, you didn't have a child during the pandemic. Well, so, I mean, I don't even know what we calling it no more.
yeah.
But what was that experience like for you? This is a time to be a new mom.
So actually, yeah, actually, honestly, if I had to pick a time to be pregnant for me, during the pandemic was the time because I was fully remote from work. My little startup, I had some good benefits, so I could be home with my son for 4 months,
Oh,
100%
yes.
paid at that time, and not worry about that. So I'm home, remote. I'm comfortable. I'm in my clothes, t-shirts and leggings every day, not having to worry about them. Really, the only time I had to leave was go to the doctor or when I felt like it. So that was, I feel like that relieved a lot of stress. So I had a relatively, I'm about to take it through another term, but I had a relatively healthy pregnancy. However, thanks to my son, he is my little lifesaver. I found out that I had thyroid cancer when I was 5 months pregnant with him.
Oh,
So
okay.
you might see my scar, girl, but
No.
5 months pregnant. Well, I went to. Let me just say this: Black women, go get a physical. If you have not gotten your physical, this is the reminder. Go get your physical. We need to take care of ourselves. Growing up, my mother, she really didn't champion going to the doctor that much, and so I had just recommitted to myself that I'm going to take my health seriously. So around the time that I conceived my son, I had scheduled a physical with my new Black primary care physician, who was a Black woman. She said, "You are pregnant." And then she said, "Your thyroid numbers look slightly off." She said, I would normally just put you on some medication and send you on your way, but given your age, at the time I was 35. She was like, given your age, I am going to suggest you go see a specialist. And so she referred me to the specialist. Specialist puts me on medication, and she tells me to get an ultrasound. She says, your numbers don't look too crazy though, but I'm just going to put you on this medication because if things are out of whack, it could lead in losing the pregnancy. So I said, all right, follow
Oh
the
my
doctor's
God.
orders. Eventually I go get the ultrasound. The ultrasound showed something suspicious. So she's like, okay, I need to come in and do a biopsy. And so my big 5 month pregnant self laying on the table, they putting a needle in my neck this long,
Oh.
and do a
Mm.
biopsy. A week later, she calls and said, they biopsy two spots. A week later, she calls and says that it is cancer in one of the areas that we did the biopsy on. So from there, of course, that was like crazy. So I was like, that weekend
Yeah.
was like, what in the world? Like, how did we get here? How? Like, life comes at you fast. I would never expect that. I didn't
Right.
feel any type of way. The only thing that I noticed is that I had gained weight, and it was hard for me to lose weight. Like, I was the biggest I had ever been, but I was like 180. I'm 5'5". So that was the biggest I've ever been. Normally I've been around like the 150s or something like that.
Oh. Yeah.
So I was just like, I was just like, okay, maybe it's just being home and not being as active because of the pandemic. Like, maybe that. But it was cancer. So they were like, okay, after you have your baby, 7 weeks after that, you have to have a thyroidectomy. So I had my son when I was 7 weeks postpartum. I had to go to Johns Hopkins.
Oh my
They removed
God.
my thyroid, stayed overnight. I was breastfeeding him too, so I had to like make sure I was pumping. Breastfeeding was very hard for me too, at the beginning, and I did not know why. I know I was like nursing him. I was really feel like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to nurse him, because breast milk is the best milk. Is
Right.
is being it's what's said, and it is if you can do it right.
If you can do
But
it.
I was able to produce just enough milk. Yeah, I was able to produce just enough milk, but it was making me feel like I ran two marathons almost every time I pumped.
Oh my
So I
God.
was like, what is going on? So after I had the thyroidectomy, I realized that my thyroid was making it harder for me to nurse my son. So it was like immediately when I got home from the hospital, my body just bounced back. And I was able to nurse him. And then he ended up having a dairy allergy. So I had to stop altogether and put him on special formula. But I think having the baby during the pandemic, it allowed me, it removed some stress just being able to be at home. In short, to circle back, I done went down this rabbit hole, came back around and all that. But having a
No,
baby
but
during the pandemic removes some stress because you're at home. But balancing work, I've been always pretty good about setting goals for my week, for my professional career and my business. So usually on either Saturday or Sunday, I have two to-do lists and said, this is what needs to get done this week. And that's just how I do. I try to compartmentalize it so I don't get too stressed out and focus on the near term and then work my way down. That way I don't
Girl,
feel overwhelmed. That's just how I approach the brand and how I approach life.
because the
So,
way you just,
and I think that helped me with the cancer diagnosis.
I'm about to say, like, you just breezed through it. Like, yeah, I had cancer, but we got to take care of our breastfed. It was a little rough, but now, all right, we good. Like, that is just par for the course for Black women. Life swings on us. We go, all right,
Yes.
we going to figure it out and keep going. Like, at any point were you
Hmm.
ever like, I can't, like, what was going through your mind and what did support look like for you during that time? Because a lot of times we don't tell anybody, did you downplay it? Like, I'm just going to get through this. I'm going to beat this. Or how did you communicate it to family?
So I told my husband when I mean, he was the first person I told. So I was like, of course, I told him 2 minutes after the doctor called me. So I was very emotional when I told him. And I don't think he even knew what to say. So he was just like, come here, like
Black
that
man,
was
come
it.
here.
And
Yeah.
then I told one of my close, yeah, I told one of my close friends, and then it felt like a little bit like I ended up having to console her. So I was like, okay, let me put the brakes on telling people for a second because I
Okay.
can't be consoling everybody that I tell this to.
Because you trying to figure it out for
so
yourself.
so I had to just sit with it for a minute. Yeah, I had to sit with it for a minute. And actually I talked to my brother who is my brother. I feel like I'm his child almost, his oldest child because we're 11 years apart. So
Oh, man.
so I was like I feel like I was his starter child and my brother actually is a
Started
therapist.
child.
So even though he
Oh,
doesn't practice
really?
on families because they're not supposed to, but he is very yeah, they're not supposed to practice on family.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, I told him what happened. He was just like, okay, well, like, look, when is this surgery? This was like December. We had a wedding coming up in our family on New Year's Eve that year. And then like the baby shower, all of this stuff was coming up. I got COVID 2 weeks after that diagnosis while I'm
Girl,
pregnant. It was a mess. I'm saying this back now, it sounds crazy,
it's
but
so
my brother
much.
was like, let's just focus on the now. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. But my brother was like, that's far away. Just focus on the now. You need to enjoy your pregnancy. You need to make sure you're healthy. Like we have a lot to celebrate in the meantime. Another thing that was reassuring is that the doctor did tell me that this type of cancer, people don't die from it. So she was like,
Oh,
don't worry about
okay.
it. We're not going to have to operate on you while you're pregnant. It's a very slow spreading, even though it did spread for me to my lymph nodes a little bit during the time that she was like, it's slow spreading, so you will be fine. So that was a little reassuring as well. Because, of course, immediately my first thought was like, I need to be here for my son. Like, what? I don't want my son to be born and then not have a mom. That's
Right.
just not it.
Oh my
Um,
God. Girl, you a
Yeah.
warrior.
So my brother was like, just focus on the now. Thank you. I kind of don't even think of myself like that, but when I say it back, I really, I guess, did exude some
No.
strength.
No, that's a lot of string. It's a lot. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
like trying to take it in myself. Like the minute I hear cancer, but I think it speaks to the importance of a Black doctor.
Yeah.
Like we don't understand having a Black woman
Yes,
being
I
in
had
the
a
care.
black primary care, a black OB. hmm
Yes.
And I really like when I told once the primary care had that, I had to thank her, girl. We had a whole cry session, me and my primary care afterward, because I had to thank her and say, you saved my life. Like I would have, who knows how long it would have gone before I found this because my numbers weren't alarming. So they just put, even at the time of the biopsy, my numbers were in line because the medication corrected it. So unless she referred me to that specialist and they were just going straight off lab work and got that ultrasound, who would have known? No one would have ever known.
Man,
No one would have ever known.
them specialists. When a Black woman say, I think we need to look at this a
Yes.
little bit deeper. Yes. So what would you say to somebody?
hmm
Because it would be hard for me going through your experience to complain about anything. So what is it like for you when people vent
It is
about their
hard for me to
problems?
complain. It's good that you said that because I really actually have been dealing with this with someone in my new role that is, oh, she doesn't really report to me, but she is a more junior person to me in this new organization that I work for. But she complains often. And for me, I'd be like, I have a lot to be grateful for. I don't care about someone sending an email and copying my manager on it. That's fine.
Oh, not the per my
Like,
last
or
email.
if something is bothering you, I feel like, girl, per my last email, please see above, all of that. Let me know if we need to hop on a call. Like, I'm just like, look, for me, for me, the complaining, I'm just like, we're alive, we have breath, we're going to live to see another day. The work that we're doing is not actually saving people's lives. We're not delivering babies. We're not, first
Really?
responders or anything like that. So take a deep breath and
Right.
figure out how we can correct this feeling, right? Like what needs to be done. I'm very solution based now. Like what do we need to do to get from A to B, get from this feeling of unhappiness to a feeling of satisfaction. Like how do we do that? Do we need to have a conversation with someone and talk about changing the process? Do we need to clarify each other's roles so that we aren't stepping on each other's toes? What needs to be done?
You're
Because
such a leader.
and the words of my mom, I'm not about to be entertaining a lot of foolishness. I'm not about to be
You're
doing
such a
that.
leader.
Thank you.
That sounds like a
I'm
supervisor.
just
Look.
like, come on, let's get to the next. There's a lot of stuff to do. Come on.
And how does being in,
I
and
mean,
how does that experience? It
yeah,
sounds like
but
they
I'm just
intertwine.
like, let's talk through it.
It sounds like your leadership role
Yeah, I mean, if
spills over to
you're
the
in a leader,
business. It makes it easier to function. Like
hmm
it's almost like
it
because of the
does.
role you're in.
It
Like
definitely does.
yeah, like the brand might be almost. I'm not gonna say easy for you, but
Yeah,
because
it
of what you.
definitely makes it.
Oh, I'll edit that out.
I mean, my prior experience definitely my prior experience has definitely translated into helping me navigate the business. Like it just helps me solve problems. Like instead of just diving deep into every single problem that has on my list, because in business there's problems all the time. Like things come up all the time. But what I do is just make a list and then I say, okay, I'm going to attack one problem at a time. Focus on that. Focus on that. Focus on that. So that it's manageable because, and I can do it well. When you're trying to solve too many things at once, they're all going to get mid-grade solutions. Instead of just
Ooh, come on now.
focusing on one thing at a time, you could check it off and solve the problem properly.
Right, which would
I mean,
explain.
that's how I think about it. I think it definitely has helped. I'm not going to say I think I know. It definitely has helped.
I was gonna say, what's been the biggest challenge with Professional Hoodrat, if any at all? Like, what's been the toughest part of being an entrepreneur while still maintaining this very professional career?
Hmm.
That's how you know you bossing up. She's like, "Ain't no problem."
That's a good one. No, shoot. Depending on the day. I mean, I think so I think just my vision of growth is my vision of growth and where I am. I want to go 90 miles an hour, right? But I might not have the capital to fund all of the brilliant ideas that I want to do right now. So just prioritizing what I need to do, focus on for growth. And I try to do that quarterly, do like almost like a little mini roadmap and say, all right, these are the things I want to focus on for this quarter to expand my business. Like this year, I have big dreams for my business. I can't tackle them all at once because I'm not rich, and
Right.
we're still in a growth stage. So I have to reinvest the money that I make back into the business strategically, and so that I can grow and not just spend all of my resources in an unwise way. So
I heard that, which and this probably explains why you
yeah,
are a
I think just trying
back-to-back
to
award winner.
prioritize what I want to do in terms of growth.
Let's get into these awards real quick, though. Cause you a two-time in these
Did you see
streets.
that girl?
You a two-time in these streets.
Did you see that girl?
Two-time. Tell us about it.
2 times. 2 times. Yeah. I am a 2-time winner of the Buy for a Black Woman clothing line of the year. So I won last year, 2022, and the year before that in 2021. This award is selected by the people. So the people are the one who said this, not me. I ain't about. Look, I didn't. It wasn't no payola or anything like that. Okay. The people are the ones who voted and said that we're the clothing line of the year. So I definitely was honored to be, to even win it once, but to win it twice. I was like, oh my gosh. And when I won it twice, it was on the heels of me taking 5 months off because of having my son and recovering from the surgery and just giving myself a little mental break to recover before I dove back into business. So it was, I'm still kind of like in shock and at a loss for words. When I was at the award show for the last one, I was like, when they called my name and I saw my name on that screen, I was like, what? I was just sitting there having a good time celebrating with other Black women in business, and I was completely shocked. So yeah, I am honored to receive that award. Yeah, and it's very humbling, but it feels good. It feels good to have your work recognized and celebrated by other people and some people that you may not even know. Like when I walked into that room of all these amazing business owners, they're like, Professional Hoodrat, Professional Hoodrat.
When people know you.
These my girls, these my sisters. I haven't seen many of them in person. So to get that warm reception, it feels great.
But speak to that, meeting strangers and building camaraderie. I saw a post of yours talking about that, about people saying like you can't meet women online and form a real bond, sisterhood with other business women. And you was like, nah, let me show you what we do. Like,
yeah, so I'm also a part of a new community that we're building in the area called Ball Space Social. So we are a group of women business owners that are local in the DMV area. And we've all kind of just met just by happenstance, right? I am actually sometimes I can be kind of shy, believe it or not, but I am big on organic connections. So I know it sounds so crazy that I would be shy. Right.
I didn't
and
see
nobody,
it.
even my mom would be like, girl, shut up. You ain't shy. But I am kind of, I am a little bit shy. So when you meet people, connections, one, can take you everywhere. Like we talked about at the beginning of this interview, how these C-level people are getting in their seats because of who they know.
Yes.
So when I think back to my sisters in Ball Space Social and Buy from a Black Woman, and even us, we just connected online, right? That's it. Like we haven't met each other anywhere, but you show love to people, just whoever, out here on the Instagram streets or in person. Those connections and those bonds that you develop, you never know when you'll need someone down the road in life and where that connection can take you. They can open a door for you that you never knew needed to be open, right? So I think that is very important that you cultivate genuine relationships with people, and that you just need to be nice to people because you don't never know. You never know what people are going through.
Right.
And two, you never know how they could help you at the end of the day. So that's why I really value relationship building and connecting with people, and that really collaboration over competition. Because even some of the people that I have connected with, we're in the same industry. And we still cool. It's not no beef. We're not on no Bloods versus Crips, nothing. It's still, there are things that they have. I'm in their comments championing them and vice versa. Like there's a lot out here that there's enough for all of us. There's enough for all of us. We don't have to try to keep things a little secret because you don't want somebody else. That's how you block your blessings.
Gatekeeping.
Number one, that's the fastest way to block your blessings. You need to be able to put people on because it can come. It's going to come back to you. It's going to come back to you. When you do right by others, God going to watch out for you.
Always. I learned that early on before I even decided to become a creative. I would just push other people's stuff. Now, there was a flip side. That's when the whole thing about genuine connections, what I did notice is when I stopped pushing folks' stuff because life happened, not because I didn't want to, they disappeared. So then there's the discernment as well as to supporting people and being used as a free marketing agent and not just being your value. So be genuine and not transactional out here, y'all.
Yes, I literally said that same quote to someone the other day. Don't be transactional. Like, we have people that have supported events that we've had, filling up sponsor bags for us. Like, if they're having something, yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to try to find a babysitter for an hour, pop out, show my face, support in whatever way I can, share it on my social media, cross promote.
Yeah.
Stuff. Some of these things don't even cost you anything to do to help other people and show up for them. Especially if they're showing up for you, like, come on now, that's the least you could do.
It's literally the least. And again, don't have a poverty mentality out here, y'all, with stuff. Like, if somebody don't like your brand, they might, if your brand is not for somebody, you can put them on to something that is, and vice versa. It's really the gift that keeps on giving. If we can just wrap our minds around it. And like you said, there's plenty for everybody to eat, but people have to see the feast and not, because what I noticed in corporate, when there would be me and one other Black girl, which didn't happen often, there would be people pitting us against each other, or she felt like she needed to one up me to make sure she had an opportunity. And it was just like, girl, they will let us both go today. If you don't chill.
Girl, they definitely would. Definitely would. Like, it's not even.
Let's not do this.
It's not even worth it. Like, corporate don't. Yes, it's not worth it. Like, for what? What you think gonna happen? Like,
what you think?
No, some people don't. They don't care.
In the fact about you taking a break,
over looking crazy,
bent over looking crazy. So you took a break. We are in this grind culture. Like, I sleep so you being able to do both, and you a new mom. So speak to the fact that you were able, or you prioritized rest. How does that play into your business model? And
I prioritized rest. I prioritize rest in my business model. I just got back from a staycation. I just went to a hotel close by for 2 nights because I needed some rest. And my husband was with the kids, and that was it. I think that burnout is real, and people, you can crash and burn today and your brand be gone tomorrow. So rest is a necessary part of life. One business that I did work for, I will give them kudos, because they would give you a sabbatical every 5 years for a month so that you could pursue something that you're interested in. Wow. And to kind of reset, because they realized that it was a grueling company to work for. Not many people do that, but I think that, we need to really normalize just planning downtime, just like you plan everything else. Like, I'm going to take, 1 day out the month just to go treat myself to a massage and to relax, or I'm going to take one night to go do a staycation and just sleep in uninterrupted and binge watch whatever I want. Those things, your body needs that reset. Like, you need to listen to your body. And I'm in a season now that I'm definitely trying to be mindful of my health and my physical health and my mental health. I want to be the best person I can for myself, my son, my family, for my business. Like, wearing all these hats is demanding. And you can't give to something what you don't have to give. So if you're burning yourself out, you're going to have zero or be in the negative. And you can't keep pulling from that, because that's going to land you in a grave, in a hospital bed, stressed out, your edge is gonna be gone, all of
Ooh, them
that.
edges.
Like, you don't that's not the life we want to live. I want a I want a
At
life of
all.
abundance, right? I
Right.
want a full life. I want to be able to enjoy, I want to be able to work and enjoy the fruits of my labor. And so, you have to plan those things.
Period. And
And
this
it's
is
okay. It's okay. Give yourself permission to do it if no one else does.
if no one else, ain't nobody gonna prioritize rest for you. So that's real. But I have to ask, so where do you, in your mind,
Hmm.
where do you see Professional Hood Rat in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh. So 5 or 10 years, I definitely want to see us in more retailers. We're in two stores right now. We're in Curate Noir, which is a store that celebrates all Black-owned businesses in Morristown Mall in New Jersey. And then we're also in the sister shop, which is in Elizabeth, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. And they celebrate Black women-owned businesses. So I would like to see Professional Hood Rat expand its retail presence in brick and mortar stores, even though some of us have just navigated solely to like e-commerce, but I also want to build up the presence of our website. And in addition to that, I want the Professional Hood Rat to build a community of a safe space for people like us in the professional environment, and create a space that we can provide resources for Black people to advance in corporate America, create a safe space for them to share, things that are pain points, any microaggressions you might be dealing with, how to navigate those in the
Yeah.
workplace, and just a place that we can come to enjoy. So that's really like that's the mecca for me. If I have a community of a community for people like us to come and share what's on their mind and take away things that can help them grow. That's it for me.
Come on now. Look, I'm sitting here like, and she gonna do it. That's so inspirational. So
Girl.
tell everybody how to find you, the websites, all that information, so they can get into it.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into it. So you can find me on Instagram at professional_hoodrat. You can find me on Facebook at the Professional Hoodrat. You can find me online at www.professionalhoodrat.com. And if you shop on professionalhoodrat.com and you use the code DirtyBagPod, you will get 25% off your order. Bam, bam,
Period. Come on,
bam,
discount. Oh, she does custom too. Y'all go to that website because I'm up here like putting my eyes, the eye emojis, like, let me go ahead and get that custom. Let me go ahead and get that custom.
Yes, I do custom orders. Yes, I do custom
Period.
orders as well, and we do wholesale our products. So if you need it for your store, definitely reach out and send us an inquiry.
Let's go. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story today. I know how it is with us mamas, babe. It's always some craziness. Thank you. Thank you for coming on today. I so appreciate you.
I know. I have to tell you one thing before I go.
What?
You're welcome. I have to tell you one thing before I go. I am so proud of you for
What?
getting into the sash. I'm so
Oh
proud of you for
my
making it into the sash, girl.
God. It
Girl, I'm
still ain't
so
sunk in.
happy.
It still ain't sunk in yet. It has not.
For
And
real.
you
Oh
know what's
my God.
crazy? I'm not
That is
satisfied.
great.
I'm not
I am
satisfied
so
till I see
excited
y'all
for
get that
you.
couch. I got the couch and I'm not satisfied till I see
Girl,
y'all
we are
get
there.
that
It's coming.
couch. I'm gonna tell you how I was up last night
It's
checking, like,
coming.
let me
It's
see. I'm
coming.
just
It's coming.
yes, no, I'm so excited. And what's been so cool about that, shout out to
You
Pinky
know, I was
Cole.
looking to like,
Shout out to Pinky Cole, because I feel like in
mm-hmm.
the midst of her creating this this infrastructure and this community for creatives and entrepreneurs, we are connecting with each other. Y'all, build while you wait. Build while you wait.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like
Yes.
I've gained so many like
Yes.
new
Say it again for the people
sisters.
in the back.
Build while you wait. I feel like I've gained like new sisters
Yes.
out of nowhere, like that I wouldn't have known before. So no matter what happens, like we stuck like Chuck. It is what it
Okay,
is.
period. So whatever you need from me, hit the DM and I'm there.
Period. So no, I'm really excited about that. But trust Black women is the message here, y'all. Please trust Black women, Black creatives, Black entrepreneurs, Black designers, because we're going to get free and we're going to grow as long as we trust each other and lean on each other. So with that being said, I can never say what we still in, y'all. But where applicable, wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance. And when you get a free moment, please remember to clean out your dirty bag. Till next time.
Well, darling, there's only one God.